I'll start on Rax. I mean, he is a big part of our program and a big part of our program. So I think everyone has seen this year and he's got a long history of the type of player that he is. But we see him every day, the type of person that he is as well. And I think when you have players that perform that way on a game in, game out basis, that show the ability to respond when things don't go well, and then can propel themselves back into being some of the, near the top of the league and perform at that level. It's not something that you, especially when you have them signed and they remember that they want to be a part of the community, they want to be a part of the program, they know the path that we're on, they want to be a part of helping to bring the team back to being in contention. I would say that you don't just push that out the door because that may be what's wanted. You have to do what's right for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and for us, having Rickard Rakell as part of the Pittsburgh Penguins was definitely the right thing to do as we measured it up against everything. So we're happy to have him. He's a big part of what we do, and I know he really wants to be here. With regards to what stage of the program we're at, I think we've spent the last 12 months almost exactly accruing assets and accruing flexibility in cap space. And now we'll begin to shift to the execution of that. That'll be drafting some players using that. I don't know that it's feasible to expect that we can use all those draft picks to use every one of them and then expect all of them in sequence to become part of the club. So we'll have those assets available for trade. We have cap space available in free agency, and so we'll shift here a little bit from asset collection into continuing down that path, but also looking to how we can use the assets that we've acquired, whether it's cap flexibility or the draft picks to add to our group and add to our roster. So it may not be, it still require patience, and it may not be as quick as some would like, but that's what we'll continue to do. And our goal is, as I've stated here a number of times, is to return the team to contention as urgently as possible.
Dave, on right.
Kyle, did you ask anyone to waive a no trade or a no move? And was the market for Grizzly and Rakell what you expected it to be, or better or worse?
With regards to that, there were no circumstances, Dave, where we felt that we were going to go to players and ask them to waive their no moves. There were no teams that approached us that had offers on players where the no trades were in effect that created that, and so that's the answer on the no trade front. On the no move front, there was nothing that would have caused us to go to the players. I try not to do that, but if it was in the best interest of the team, the Penguins moving ahead, we would have, but there just weren't any circumstances that were there. With regards to the marketplace, it was with Rakell. It was, there's lots of interest in Rickard Rakell. We just decided that based on where we were at, his value to us, the term remaining on his contract, and the way that he's played and the player that he is, it was the best interest of the team to have him remain. With regards to Grizz, there was interest, but teams kicking tires. But in the end, we got through the deadline, and he remains a member of our team. We expect to continue to have a strong season. And when we brought him in, we pledged that we would give him the opportunity to get things back rolling, and he's taking advantage of that. So we'll continue to push him to do so here through the last stretch of the year.
Erik Karlsson's name was bandied about in a lot of speculation. Was there any substance to any of that? And do you still view him as being part of your program moving forward? Obviously has 2 more years left on his contract beyond this year.
Yeah, Eric's an interesting one, because he hasn't been a part of the. He came in the same summer. The team was coming out basically in the playoffs. The attempt was to bring him in, and with the other things we did in the summer of 23 to try to give it one. That was the strategy, to try to give it one jolt to see if we can propel it back in. It didn't work. So Eric, to me, it's from a team perspective, not really to do with Eric, because the team is not in the contending space that it was for the decades prior, frankly. So with him, he's such a talented player. I know night in and night out, like our team has this year, it can be a little up and down, but he's his skating continues to be amongst the best in the league. Obviously offensively, and puck movement continues to be at that level. We have to keep pushing him, and I think he can be a part of helping our team continue to move along. So I don't sense with his skating and his talent and ability that there's going to be any real drop off. There was no discussion, Seth, to him. No worries. There was no nothing taken to him about waiving his no move. So, and he's not a player that we would just look to move along. He's a hugely valuable player in the league, and I think we'll be here and we'll be in the marketplace come summer or next year, or depending on where we're at. So.
Wes in the back.
Kyle, I know you mentioned the draft capital that you've accrued over the last 12 months or so. And I also know that you said that it's still important to practice patience here, but with the flexibility that draft capital does give you, just how important is the position that it puts you into to take advantage of what you still do have with guys like Sid and with Gino and with Chris Letang and so forth?
Yeah, I think I try to, in my head, not focus on taking advantage of what's here. It's always what's in the best interest of the Penguins. So if there are opportunities to use the excess capital that we've accumulated, whether it's cap space or draft picks, to add players to the program that can help propel it ahead, we won't hesitate to do that. I think I've always come in and said that there's no ambition on my end to have this take any longer than it needs to take, both for the city and for the people who have put in a lot to keep the Penguins at this level for a long time. That's not even just players; it's staff that have been around for a long time. There's a certain level, and when the level drops off, I think you don't want the standards of the core ideology to erode. And so that's what we work towards each day, Wes.
Kyle, this picks up kind of right on that note with regard to flexibility and liquidity, but as it pertains to the upcoming draft, I know we're a couple months out, but do you have any kind of ballpark ideas just with regards to picks of just how many of those 12 you'd like to ideally have going into the draft versus what you might be willing to part with if situations and scenarios arose?
Yeah, it'll all be value based. I mean, obviously, we're not going to part with our first. We'll get greater clarity on what happens with this Rangers pick that we hold from the Drew and Marcus trade. They'll owe us that in 48 hours prior to the draft, so we're ready for all situations. Obviously, if the Rangers on their current, the way that they're playing currently, and I think what everyone expects of them, they're going to obviously make a strong push. If it falls outside of that top 13, the pick will come to us, and we'll be ready to execute on it. We've got the second now and 3/3. I think the scouting staff will prepare them as though we have to execute as best we can on all of them. And I think we've talked about it at length, and that teams around the league know as we get close to the draft and for restricted free agency coming up, whether players are going to sign or re-sign or not, we'll try to be in the mix for all those young players that fit that next era of the team that can come in and help us right now.
Jeff?
Kyle, obviously you've made a number of moves. Some of those are players for draft picks. Can you share with us kind of your message to this current group for questions they might have or what their thought process is going forward?
Sure. The message to the current group of players is that I think there's a certain standard here with the team, and we expect that to be upheld throughout the last number of weeks of the season. We expect to come in, play hard, train, play at their best level each and every day. There's a number of guys in that room that have a whole lot to play for, regardless of what stage they're at in their career. There's a coaching staff that's going to come in every day, medical staff, performance staff, equipment staff. They're going to come in and be at their best every single day. We expect that from the players. There's a massive amount of opportunity for a lot of these guys that are on short-term deals or that have aspirations to remain in the league. And now is a massive opportunity for them to not only, if they've had good years to date, to continue to improve on their form and assert themselves, but for the guys that haven't, for the guys that have been up and down between the minors or here, for the new players coming in, like Connor Dewar, Connor Timmins, Tommy Novak. It's a great opportunity to assert themselves onto the coaching staff and our staff for where they want to be with the group next season. They're all under team control. So I know it's not what the fans, media, group is used to at this time of the year in Pittsburgh, and we can't have this be the norm every single year. But I do think that this gives us a chance also to test, you know, to give runway to some of our younger guys as they earn it. We have huge expectations in Wilkes-Barre for what they're going to do the rest of the year as well. So I know it's not typical, and we won't allow it to become typical. But I do think this remaining 5 or 6 weeks is a great opportunity for the organization and for the players within to show us that they are a part of bringing us back into contention.
Seth?